This is the full in-depth review of the brand new MIZUNO JPX919 irons. There are 3 new sets available, and in this video, I'm going to review all of the 3 sets. Hi guys, it's Rick Shiels down here at Quest Golf Academy. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos. Hit the bell icon so you're notified as soon as I release a new vid. Hit the like button if you enjoy this video and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts of the new JPX919 irons, and share this video around. Tell your mates, tell your friends, Mizuno fans or non-Mizuno fans, let them know about these irons because I think they're going to be pretty impressed. And also check me out on Instagram at Rick Shiels PGA. You want to be checking me out on there to see what is coming up on the channel next. So the 3 new sets of irons that Mizuno have brought out all come under the JPX919 category. There is the hot metal, which is the biggest of the 3 versions, more suited to a higher handicapper and packed full of power. Then you've got your JPX919 forged, slightly more slimmer model than the hot metal, in fact considerably slimmer, more suited to your middle to low handicapper. And then finally you've got the JPX919 Tours, which are the more bladed version of the 3. In this video, I'm going to review all of the 3 sets individually, out on the golf course and in the academy on GCQUAD. If you want to jump to the set that you're more interested in, I'll timestamp it down below so you can jump straight to either the hot metal, the forged or the tour. But if you're interested in all 3, sit back and relax and check this out. And at the end, I'm going to compare all 3 sets together as well to see how they differ. We're going to kick it off with the new JPX919 hot metal. So let's kick this off and start with the hot metal set. The hot metal set is designed for forgiveness and distance, and typically then places itself in the slightly higher handicappers category. But where higher handicapper irons can sometimes look quite ugly, this doesn't look ugly one bit. In fact, it is stunning. It's a beautiful looking iron. Very modern design, very stylish, colour free almost. It has chrome features and then brushed pearl features, and it's packed full of technology. They're claiming it's more stable than before with a new stability frame. It's got chromoly, which I've kind of joked about with the last hot metal set. Not sure what that is, but they're claiming it's going to offer more ball speed and distance. We'll see if that's the case. And it is just a bigger sized head with slightly stronger lofted irons. So I've got the 7, the pitching wedge and the 4 iron to test. The 7 iron is packing at 30 degrees of loft, so it's strong. It's lofted for a 7 iron. That's probably where it's getting a little bit of the distance from. 45 degree pitching wedge and a 20 degree 4 iron. So enough about the tech. I took it on the golf course. So I nipped up to burn the golf club and I hit the 4 irons, the 7 irons and the pitching wedges out on the golf course. The 4 iron I was hitting pretty solid. It had a little bit of overdraw for me, maybe because of the slight offset on it. And on 1 or 2 of the bad shots that I hit, the performance was still brilliant. I still managed to get it out there, not maximum distance, but it got me the flight I needed. The feel was good. It wasn't superb, but it was pretty solid and pretty good feel for a Mizuno iron. The 7 irons, when I was hitting them into the green, were reacting brilliantly. Great stopping power, flight was phenomenal, and for a 30 degree 7 iron, I was hitting it pretty long. I was actually carrying it near to kind of 190 yards. I was really ripping it out there. The pitching wedge was a club that really surprised me. I was on a little par 3 up the hill, and for a 45 degree pitching wedge, and this is what Mizuno have really tried to work hard on, making the scoring irons more lofted. So they're not going to bring out a 43 degree pitching wedge, which some other brands can be guilty of doing. The 45 degree pitching wedge with the extra speed and power that I could generate was spinning like crazy. I was pitching up there on the green and they were zipping back with no issues at all. So on course testing, the hot metal flew through it with no real issues. Maybe just not the feel that I like to get normally, but apart from that, performance was great. So back in the academy, GCQUAD hitting the 4s, the 7s and the pitching wedges with Pro V1s. The 7 iron distance I was carrying at 181 yards, which is about right for a 30 degree 7 iron. Spinning at 5,500, so a little bit low on the spin, but with good launch, good height, good flight characteristics. The 4 iron was carrying at 215. I was actually ripping the 4 iron. When looking down on the ball, it is a slightly chunky version. You can see the back edge of the golf club sticking out ever so slightly, but the flights were awesome. I absolutely ripped the 4 iron, I loved it. And the pitch wedge performed great, just like I saw on the golf course. 138 yards of carry, And for a standard pitching wedge, which is really for a higher handicapper, we're spinning at 9,500 RPM. That is high for a pitching wedge. That's ball speed plus relatively decent loft was getting that spin. Now the price on these, you're going to look for a set of 8 irons for the hot metal at £840. Now that's the cheapest of the 3 sets. Again, for a higher handicapper, they're going to go for 8 irons. That's debatable. It depends on your game and how many wood you carry or how many wedges. So it kind of does what it needs to do. And like I said at the start of this review, the best looking high handicapped irons I have ever seen in my life, and they performed great. A little bit chunky behind the ball, but you want that in an iron. You want something that's going to give you a bit of protection in this category. That's the hot metal. We'll compare those to the two in a bit, but let's move on to the JPX919 forged irons next. So moving into next, the JPX919 forged iron. A player's iron offering forgiveness. So it is forged. It's a new version of forged, and it's grain flow forged HD. So whatever that means, they're claiming it's going to be softer than any iron that they've hit before. And Mizuno are all about feel. The tagline, nothing feels like a Mizuno. Well, they're really heavily pushing on this. This new stability frame that goes around the bottom of the golf club and loops around the top, again with a little bit of cut out from the heel, is going to be packed full of forgiveness on off-centered hits. And the lofts aren't as strong as the hot metal as you'd imagine. So the 7 iron with the forged is 32 degrees, the 4 iron is 22 degrees, and the pitching wedge is actually the same as the hot metal at 45 degrees. Another stunning looking iron. Without question, this is so bloody good looking. And from last year's model, or 2 years model ago, I didn't think they could make it much better looking, and they seem to have done it again. They seem to keep making fantastic looking irons. Sat behind the ball, it's a gorgeous shape. It actually looks relatively thin on from the top edge. There's nothing sticking around out the back apart from on the 4 iron. You can see a little bit of the back edge sticking out the golf club, but it is a beautiful iron, and you'd almost be mistaken when picking up the 7 iron that it's not just a true blade. It looks that good. Out on the golf course, again, took it to burn the golf club. Hit shots with the 4, the 7 and the pitching wedge. The 4 irons, again, performed great. A slightly more kind of balloon flight, slightly higher flighted. On a couple of missed hits, yes, I got punished. I didn't hit them as well as I should have done. And I did see a huge drop off in distance. But when I got it, wow, did it come out. It came out hot, the flight was fantastic. And to be fair, the feel was a different level to the hot metal. And a feel, like Mizuno have claimed in the past, nothing feels like a Mizuno, it kind of sat in that category. The 7 irons, I wasn't hitting as far as the hot metal as, again, you would imagine. The 7 irons at 32 degrees. The flight was a little bit higher. The ball flight stopped a little bit quicker when it landed into the green. I could tell the feel was, again, exceptionally different. Off-centered hits, punished to a degree, but not huge amounts. Again, that stability frame might just be giving a little bit of protection on off-centered hits, but slightly hard to measure, and each one of you are going to be different on that depending on where you hit on the face. But good performance so far with the 4 and the 7. Wedge, just like the hot metal, was performing great. Little par 3 up the hill, pitching it in there, and it was stopping and spinning and doing everything you wanted it to do. Sometimes almost a little bit too much spin, but was getting the shots that I wanted. High ball flight, I could control it. I could flight it lower if I needed to, but it just did what it needed to do out on the golf course. So no surprises so far. Back in the academy, testing it on GCQUAD with Pro V1s. And this is where we see just a slight drop off in distance compared to the hot metal, but I understand why. So the forged 7 iron, again, a reminder, at 32 degrees of loft, I was getting 176 yards of carry distance, which sits brilliant for my 32 degree club. Spin rate just under 6,000, which is just a smidgen lower than what I'd like to see, but it's not offensive. And good ball speed, good launch angle, good stopping power once they hit the green. 4 irons, I was getting 210 yards of carry. Again, just a 5-yard drop off from the hot metal. We see a bit of a pattern emerging. Spin rate was just under 4,000. Again, no huge surprise with the 4 iron. Hit some absolute rockets with that club as well. And then the wedge, 134 carry distance, not as high as spinning on the pitching wedge at only 8,500 spin. But if you can look at that compared to hot metal, the hot metal is producing more ball speed. So you add more ball speed with the spin rate's going to go up, and you're actually going to get more spin from the hot metal. It's what I found on the golf course, and it's been backed up here in the academy. I think the Forged is a great iron for your middle handicapper and your lower handicapper as well. And I think a lot of players may use this as a bit of a blended set. Maybe their long irons from 6, 5 and 4 iron go into the Forged, where maybe then a Tour might go into more of the shorter irons, and vice versa. Some players might go hot metal long irons and then go Forged into the short and mid irons. Great set, awesome looking, awesome feel, and at a price point that's slightly higher, £945 for 8 irons. So a little bit higher price point, nearly £100 extra per set. But to be fair, the feel is probably worth it for that extra little spend. But if you want more forgiveness, go for the slightly chunkier version. JPX919 Forged, class, awesome irons. Let's move into the Tour next. So now for the final of the 3, but certainly not a set that should be forgotten about. The JPX919 Tour irons. Now, the Tour irons are coming off the back of a tremendously successful iron that Mizuno brought out, the JPX900 Tour, because I think that won 2 majors under non-contract from a player, Brooks Koepka. Also shot 61 around St Andrews with Ross Fisher. A lot of Tour pros have been putting it in the bag, even when they're not under contract. Well, this is the new version, the new JPX 919 Tour. And you might want to rewind back 2 years when I tested the Tour of JPX 900s. I said they're the best looking irons I've almost ever seen. I retract that. These are the best irons I've ever seen. They are beautiful. Now, they are more of a true blade. They've actually just made the top edge a little bit slimmer. They're still forged, same technology going into the Forged, which is the Grain Flow Forged HD. High density, offers a little bit of stability frame, but very, very little. You're not going to get a lot of forgiveness from this iron. And an elite shot maker's profile. So they've actually gone out on tour with their players that are contracted and non-contracted to say, what do you want to see different? And they've come up with this conclusion, a little bit of a tighter top line, a little bit of an improvement on the sole of the golf club. Very minimal to you and me as naked eye, but will make a good looking golf club. And then they've just spent great time on the back of this club to make it look this good. Anyway, there's not a load of technology that goes into the Tour because it is such a blade. The lofts are weaker again from the hot metal and the Forged. So you're looking at 34 degree loft with the 7 iron. You're looking at 24 degrees loft with the 4 iron and at 46 degrees loft with the pitching wedge. So we'll probably see that differ out on the golf course and here in the academy as well. Let's get out on the golf course first. So 4 irons, looking down on the 4 iron of a JPX 919 Tour, and shivers go up your spine because it is a true blade. I mean, there's not much that top line at all. I hit a couple of shots that felt like the best golf shots I've hit in my life, and then followed by a couple of shots which I honestly felt like I'd missed the club face. You've got to be pinpoint perfect on the strike of a long iron, but when you set up behind the ball, it is nothing to it at all. There's no offset. It's a beautiful looking iron, but you've got to find the middle. When the flight came out, it came out hot and it felt out of this world. 7 irons, I was not hitting it anywhere near as far as the hot metal or the Forged, but the flight was higher, the stopping power was quicker, and the feel was better. And when I was hitting them off-centered, just by a little bit, you get punished. You can feel the vibrations going up the face, but when you absolutely middle it, there's nothing better. Pitching wedge up that hill, par 3, I was actually finding, again, really good spin rates. The flight was a little bit stronger. For me, the pitching wedge was the best looking of the pitching wedges of the 3, but that's probably goes to the fact that it's more of a bladed looking profile. And at 46 degrees of loft, I did have to hit it a little bit harder to get to that flag, but again, when it landed, it spun like crazy. Back in the academy, GCQUAD hitting Pro V1s, and this is where we see the numbers differ again as we move into the tours. So as a quick reminder, the loft of the 7 iron for the tours is 34 degrees. So I'm expecting higher flights, more spin, less distance. Exactly what I saw. The 7 iron was carrying for me 170 yards. It was getting spin rates over 6,000 now. Less ball speed than the hot metal and the Forged, but it was going a little bit higher and seems to stop a little bit quicker. Great flight, and again, off-centered hits, punishment happens. You definitely get punished off those bad hits. Moving into the 4-iron, 205 yards of carry, just over 4,000 spin. Again, not the ball speed or the launch angle that I would expect to get that real penetrating flight. But to be fair, not many players will use a 4-iron. And even the JPX919 Tours come in a 3-iron. They are way more for your experienced golfer, for your real elite player to be using those 3 and 4 irons, because the margin for error is very, very small. Pitching wedge with the Tour, 130 yards of carry distance. Again, same patterns where the spin still wasn't as high as the hot metal. The hot metal had the highest spin rate of all of the 3 wedges, but in fairness, almost borderline too much spin did the hot metal have. But for a higher handicapper, that's not a terrible thing. It might help a higher handicapper stop it on the green. But going back to the Tour, 9,000 spin, 100 ball speed, good numbers, good flight, everything I want from a pitching wedge. So price point for the JPX919 Tours, £945, exactly the same price as you get the forged irons, even though you get significantly less club because it is more bladed. But in fairness, for a better player who wants absolute feel and that real true blade look, the price probably won't be too much of an issue. I think it's a good looking iron. I think it's the best looking iron that I've seen from Mizuno without question. And like I said, I'm eating my words a little bit because I'm sure I said that on the JPX 900 range, but they've made it look even better still. Great iron, but for only the better player, for your elite player who wants that type of looking golf club. Let's compare the numbers and then summarize the 3 sets of irons that Mizuno brought out. So let's summarize and compare the 3 Mizuno irons. I found that the forged goes about 5 yards further than the Tour, and then the hot metal goes about 5 yards further than the forged. So if you're looking for distance, you're going to be looking for the hot metal. Maybe not the best feel of the 3, but definitely packed full of power, and a lot of that is down to the fact that it's the strongest lofts. If you're looking for ultimate feel, and not so much about distance, you're going to be looking more for the Tour. Great feeling club, not the longest, but gives you everything you need to know for looks and feel. And if you want a blend of the both, you've kind of got one right in the middle there. It's got offering some distance, it's offering great feel, but it's also giving you that hint of forgiveness. An iron that I think will be very popular across the majority of the players. I think 3 great sets of irons. I think the 3 differences make sense. Test them on the golf course and test them in the academy. A little bit of a price difference, like I mentioned, with the hot metal being slightly cheaper than the Tour and the forged, but I suppose that forging is often more expensive process, so it will cost more. I think there are 3 great sets of irons. They look out of this world, they really do, and they performed good. But at the end of the day, Mizuno make great irons. They're not going to bring out something that is terrible, and this has been the same case again. 3 good looking irons that all do 3 different things, and I think a lot of golfers are going to cater and actually enjoy hitting them. And as the tagline says, they love to say it, nothing feels like a Mizuno. I have to agree again. The irons, certainly the forged and the Tour, feel phenomenal. Thanks for watching, guys. Lots more videos to come. Stay tuned by subscribing to the channel. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe. It's free to do and it keeps you connected to all the videos, instruction, reviews and entertainment. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Leave me a comment down below. What did you think of the new Mizuno irons? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. Lots more to come. We'll see you next time.